Folks, I'm Tom Vasel.
Zee Garcia, what's happening, everybody?
Sam Healey, what's up, y'all?
And today we are doing another episode of BackTalk, and these are where we take a look at different topics that I've brought up before in Board Game Breakfast, and probably will stray from that as the future goes by. But today we're going to be taking a look at a topic I brought up about a month ago, print and pirate. And what I mean by this is, I've always looked at piracy as something that has to do with music and computer games,
Correct.
but it is now evidently a very big thing, especially in China. I was talking to a company just last week, and they were saying how they deal with this in China, where companies are printing games there.
Sure.
Now, I don't think anyone here is going to say that that is an okay thing for a company to print a game and sell it and make money.
Correct. No company should ever print a game and make money. What are you doing? You're in the board game industry. That's not why you do it.
But you should. But that's stealing and unethical. I think that most people would agree on that. The question that I have is, if I am at home and I want to play game A, and so hey, someone put all the files on the internet, can I print out that game and play it on my own? Can I print out that game and give it to somebody else? Can I print out that game and sell it to somebody else?
No. Done.
Okay, and then I was going to say, what if the game is out of print? Does that change anything? All right, so let's go with the games that are in print now. Okay, so let's pick a game, Ticket to Ride. Although that seems like it'd be a lot of work to put together. So let's say a card game.
We'll get to that momentarily. How much work this is,
That's true.
Okay, let's say I want to make my own copy of Agricola, and I find all the pieces, right?
Fine.
And on the internet, you can probably find all the cards. So I print them out. I use some company that's pretty cheap and make cards. I go and I do all this work at Office Max. I print out the cards, put all the pieces together, and I'm playing Agricola.
Mm-hmm.
Is that wrong?
Yes.
Why?
Because you're taking somebody else's intellectual property and using it for your own benefit, even though it's not monetary benefit, without remunerating them in any way. That's why it's wrong.
I would agree with that largely. I wouldn't say, okay, yeah, you should develop a collection of games where you have found all the files online and made your own games. But I will say two things. A, I think that's going to happen once. Because once that person realizes how much work and time and money went into that, they're going to go, yeah, I'm not doing that ever again. I'm going to go buy the game. And then secondly, I think a lot of people who try, whether it be print and play games or do make their own games, do end up getting it. Because they realize how crummy their version is, or they feel bad about doing it, or simply because you can now go get it. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's
Without taking a poll, though, you don't know if that's a true statement.
That's right. Sure.
So that's kind of an assumption, which I understand why you would make that assumption, because that's probably what I would do if I were to have done this. I'm going to get tired of playing with that old, that beat up, personally produced copy. I'm going to want something that is better than that.
Right.
Eventually.
I don't know. I mean, I get that it's not right. Like, you shouldn't do this. You are stealing one copy from that company. But I think sometimes trying the game out, your own homemade version, will sell them a copy. You will go, I really like that. I'm going to get one.
You don't have to produce a copy of the game to know whether or not you're going to like it.
You might. No, but you might. It depends.
But you don't know
if you don't have a group.
Right, like if you don't know, if you haven't played the game, we're not including companies that have said you can do this. There are a lot of Kickstarter campaigns out now where they say, here's a print and play, try it out. So I'm assuming there's no problem with that because the company is saying
they've given you permission to do that.
Okay.
That's a completely different thing.
I talked to a guy who ran a software company one time, and I said, do you have a problem with people stealing your software, pirating it? And he said they never cared about that because anybody who pirated it wasn't going to buy a copy of it anyway. So they weren't losing anything. They weren't endorsing it. He just said that it didn't bother him in the long run.
Oh, that's almost I don't know. That's kind of like a ends justifies the means argument from the person, where well, they weren't going to buy it anyway, so who cares if they steal it from us? We didn't lose any money. Well, that's absolutely true, but who's to say that they're not then taking that property, reproducing it themselves, and making their own profit?
Yeah, but that's a different argument. I'm not making that argument at all. If someone makes a copy for them to test out a game, to play that game, even if they don't buy one, which I think a lot of people really, I think they do. I think people will play it and go, man, I really like this game. And when they try to play with other people who look at this that they've made, unless it's spectacular and cost them an arm and a leg, they're going to go, yeah, I'm going to get a copy. I think that's I'm not saying that's like, yeah, do it. But I'm saying if you are crazy enough to spend that kind of money and time, fine.
Okay.
But that person then making a bunch of them and selling them, that is stealing.
Well, I don't think anyone is arguing that point. I haven't heard that argument made at all.
Right.
Where you just went is where I would like to go next.
Where are we going?
If you seriously think that it is that important for you to print and produce your own copy of the game just to try it out, I think you're taking the hobby a little bit too seriously. You need to just exhibit some patience and wait until you can try the game the way it was meant to be tried or played.
Again, I think some people just don't have access to it unless they buy the game.
Oh, come on. Everybody has access. In our society today, you can watch a video, you can watch playthroughs, you can do anything almost rather than taking somebody else's intellectual property and producing it on your own. Because then the temptation at least is there to, why do I need to buy it? I already have it.
Okay, now what if, you've been talking about how much work it is, but there are some people who don't like the quality of the game that's out, and so they take the game and make a really super duper version of it. Really beautiful. They might even re-theme it. Maybe they don't like the theming of it. You've seen these online where people take these games and make tremendously better versions than the actual copy.
Have they purchased the original copy?
Well, that's what I was going to ask. So you think that's okay as long as you have bought the original copy?
If you're taking something that you have purchased from somebody and embellishing it or making it better fit to your likes and dislikes, like changing the theme or what have you, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You've given, unless you're going to then try to sell it.
Right.
Okay, that produces, we already went over that. But if you're just doing this for your own personal use and you have already purchased the game, I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with that, because you're not going to resell it. You're not going to do any of this kind of stuff. You're not trying to make money or anything like that. You have given the person, the artwork, the artist, the designer, the developer, the producer, you've given them their money for that game. And now you're going to use it for yourself. It would be the same as buying a tape or a CD.
We're not dating ourselves here at all.
Right? It would be the same as buying a CD and then making
What's a CD?
a mix CD or something like that for your own copy, for your own, so that you can listen to this group and this group and this group and this group. And then I know that we have, I hate using it. What is it called? The
MP3
Apple
Share.
You can just say MP3 players.
Okay,
Yeah.
MP3 players. Well, I know we have those where you can digitally mix them all together. You can digitally, and that's fine. So it's almost a non-issue nowadays, unless you're downloading those songs illegally and then putting them on. You're not purchasing them from the Apple Store or what have you. You're downloading them from some kind of website or what have you, where you have to, I can't remember what they're called
Torrent.
now. Torrent, yes.
Okay, so let me ask some questions here in this regard. When you get these things and you think that the designer should get his due.
Yes.
All right. Now, if I buy like a movie or music, I might watch it. I can lend that movie to somebody else. You can do the same thing with board games. Right. You can lend a board game to somebody else. Somebody says, one of the arguments is if you don't buy the game, you're not giving that person their due.
Okay.
But if I decide I'm not going to buy the game and just play someone else's copy all the time, I'm not giving them any money either. Or if I buy a used copy of the game, I'm also not giving them money.
Right.
So let's say Z has a copy of the game and he does, he hates the game and so he sells it to me.
So I guess
I didn't
what
give
would be
them any money. in that regard.
Okay, then what's the statute of? I guess your question is basically it boils down to what's the statute of limitations then to where you can put your game up on the secondary market then, or.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that that is a crux of an argument, and I actually agree with you on that argument that you should give the designer money and publisher money. Mm-hmm. But if you buy it secondhand, you're not giving them money either.
Right.
Correct.
Just like if you're playing someone else's copy, obviously no one's getting any more money depending on how many people played that copy.
Correct.
And again, ultimately, I think the publisher is in the business of selling games, but unless suddenly everybody bought one copy and passed it around the world, or everybody suddenly was printing their own games, I think the issue of printing your own copy and using it at home, as long as you're not selling it or reproducing it like those Chinese companies do and trying to get that out on the market and make money without it going to, artists and designers, then it's a drop in the bucket.
When you buy a used game, you are still indirectly helping the publisher designer, because I know when I buy a game from them, I'd have the ability to sell that to somebody else. So that makes me more want to buy their game. So I'll buy Agricola knowing I can possibly sell it to you. So the fact that you are willing to buy my copy makes me buy a copy from the company.
Okay.
So you are partially giving money to the designer by buying a used copy in that regard. Because the used market exists. If the used market didn't exist, some people would a lot less games would be bought, right?
I don't know.
No, you can't tell me you don't ever have bought a game saying, well, if I don't like it, I can get rid of it somewhere in a trade or I'll float it somehow. I'll get some of my money back.
Sure.
A lot of people think that, right? If you couldn't get that money back, if you bought a game and if you didn't like it, you had to throw it away, people would buy fewer games. I
would give it to someone for free. Are you saying if people knew they could not sell it?
Right.
Yeah, but what about trading it with someone else's game?
Well, it's the same thing. That's a form of selling.
What about giving it away?
Yeah, but then I still think fewer people would buy games. If they knew they couldn't get anything back for that game and they're buying it and you like it, or you've lost your money. So with a used game, let's say I buy Agricola and I hate Agricola, I can probably find someone who will like it and I can sell it to them. Maybe I'm selling it 50% off, but I got some money back. Or I'll trade it for a game that they don't like, and then, hey, I got almost all my money back and I got a game I do like.
Yeah. Right.
So I'm saying because that market exists, that's there. But when you design your own game and make your own game, that doesn't help anybody out at all. And that's where I'm calling the difference there.
Right. And I'll agree with you there, except, again, I think it's really a tiny drop in the bucket. That person either will not have purchased one anyway, like you said, and so what's the company? The company is like, okay, that's a lost cause. That person's only playing it by themselves. They weren't going to get one anyway, which is the previous argument you were making. Or they will play the game, they will make the game, play it, and think, this is a really good game. I'm going to buy a real one, a produced one.
Okay, well, let's move to then the...
I don't like this argument that is cropped up now a couple of times that it's a drop in the bucket. That seems like a slippery slope argument to me where, well, it doesn't really matter. Yeah, sure, it's wrong, but it doesn't matter.
I'm not hurting anybody.
Right. And I cannot agree with that statement.
Right.
If it's wrong, then it's wrong. Doesn't matter how big of a splash or how small of a splash.
Well, what I'm saying is the company doesn't want this to happen, obviously.
Of course.
I mean, I don't do it because
it's that they don't care, and I guess that's okay.
That should be the determining factor on whether or not you should do it.
No,
if the company gives permission for you or anybody else to self-produce their game, fine. They've given permission.
No, that's fine. That's a different argument. I'm saying,
but if they
unless the company wants to go knock on doors and find out if someone made a copy of the game, then they're going to have to treat it like it's an issue they can't resolve.
Okay, so here's my... Let's move
It's not right.
Right.
It's not a good thing to do, but unless the company is going to chase people down for doing it.
No.
That's like the same FBI warning you get in front of a movie.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're not supposed to do it.
Exactly.
It is illegal.
Yes. So
but
you
people
should not
will
do it.
continue to do it.
But you should not do it.
Well, I don't do it.
I know.
But
that's
some people
the
will
question.
do it.
That's the question that's being asked, though. Is it right or wrong to do it?
It's not right. I get that. But they're not going to stop it, A, because they can't. And I think in the long run, unless someone is turning around and selling copies that they made, I don't think it's going to hurt them enough for it to be a concern.
Okay.
I think it's a concern.
No, let's move on.
We will. I think it's a concern because it's morally wrong. And if we allow moral wrongness in our society,
Wrongnity.
whatever,
What's the word?
you get what I was saying, then that's putting us on a path of declination.
I get that.
Okay.
Okay, so what if the game's out of print, though?
Oh, I'm going wild. I'm printing 500. I'm selling all of them.
Okay, well,
Be up on
actually,
eBay.
I don't think that's correct at
No,
all.
that's not. That's not
Even if
right.
it's out of print, to print it and then sell it, you are essentially making money.
You're doing the same thing. It doesn't matter if the game is out of print. However, I will say I don't normally have an issue at all. And you know, you're right. If the game's in print, just go and buy one. You know what I mean?
Or just find somebody that does have it. Or watch a video to see if you want to purchase it.
And that's a lot.
And if you can't afford it, then suck it up.
Yeah.
I can't afford a lot of things in life, and I don't.
Yeah, that's fine. I get that. And really, again, I'm pushing the point. For a big game, it doesn't even make any sense. For a little card game, I could see myself trying the game with a deck of cards that substitute whatever game I would buy. And after I've played it, I could go, okay, I want to buy that. I like that game.
Okay, but again, what if the game's out of print? So
But if it's out of print, I have no problems with someone producing their own copy. And if it ever comes back into print, then just buy one.
Okay, so do you agree with that?
But what if while it was out of print, I made my own copy. I did a lot. I put a lot of work into it. And it's a really nice copy. And now it's back in print again.
So buy one. I just said that.
Okay, but again, what if I don't want to buy one because I already have my own copy?
Then don't buy one.
You're missing the point here.
No, I'm
think you're
saying if the
actively
game is
missing
out
the
of
point.
print,
Yes.
can you make one and play it for your own enjoyment?
Still somebody's intellectual property.
That's
whether
true,
it's
but I
actually
can't
in print.
possibly give them money for it unless I look up who made it and I
Then do
PayPal.
without.
All right. Okay, see, I actually disagree with you on this. So
Then do
we'll
without.
take an actual real-world example. Merchants of Venus was out of print for many years.
Yeah.
Okay? The copies on the secondary market were outrageous. So people, some guys on Board Game Geek made this nice version.
Right.
If you put a lot of effort into it, Eric Summer did. He made this really beautiful version.
Right.
You're saying you don't agree with that?
I need to call the FBI on Eric right now.
Well, okay, I'm actually okay with that.
They're on the way.
No, but do you have a problem with that? So the game's out of print. You can't get away.
Yeah, he's saying
you can't
yes.
and
I'm saying yes. That is somebody else's intellectual property. It is not your property to do with what you please. It is somebody else's stuff. So let's say if you own a lawnmower, and you don't use that lawnmower anymore, you just let your grass die. You don't need a lawnmower anymore. You're not doing anything with it. It's okay for me to just walk into your garage and steal it.
That's not intellectual property, Sam.
Come
That's
on,
actual
you
property.
get the idea.
No, but if you have plans for a lawnmower, and I want to buy a lawnmower that you're going to build for me,
It's
and you
still
keep
property.
telling me,
It's still
I'm not
property.
going to sell you a lawnmower. Here's the plans, but I'm not selling you one.
Yes.
Is it okay for you to make one, to mow your own lawn?
If you want to, I guess so.
yeah, that's the same thing. That's what we're saying.
Yeah, I don't think it is though.
The guy refuses to sell you one.
The guy-
I am willing to pay that person for one.
The guy also is not the producer of said. So it's a loose analogy, but you get what I'm saying though. If somebody owns something
Right.
and they cannot or will not sell it to you.
Then I can't have it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Right, but I'm not getting anything from them except that intellectual property, which they refuse to. I'm not monetizing it. That's what intellectual property, those laws and regulations tie
understand
into
that.
monetization of something. I'm not selling it.
Okay.
That's like me printing a Mickey Mouse picture and putting it up in my bedroom. That's not illegal.
I'm going a bit of a step further, I guess you could say, for the sake of morality.
Okay.
If it's not okay for me to buy it and produce it and then sell it, I probably shouldn't produce it in the first place because it's not my thing.
But is it okay for your kid to draw a picture of Mickey Mouse?
Bam! Get him.
I mean, that's someone else's property. And
I'm
going
going to call the FBI and yo kids. I saw that, Pluto.
My kid can't draw that well.
That was clearly Pluto-ish.
No, but I mean, seriously. I mean, am I allowed to do that? Am I allowed to sing a song I heard on the radio? I mean,
Whoa. Calm down now.
I think that is, and I'm going to use my little catchphrase, I think we have stepped into an apples to oranges issue.
I don't think so. It makes sense. I mean, it's intellectual property.
A 5-year-old drawing a picture is not the same thing as a 40-year-old man producing an entire board game on his own.
But Tom singing a song for his enjoyment is the same thing.
And it's also not recorded or anything like that.
If he records himself, is that illegal?
Is that wrong?
And plays it back to himself, his own recording. He's got a great voice. I've seen the man do this.
This analogy's pretty horrible, actually, in the sense of...
It's a horrible analogy because it's not the same.
But it's okay.
Sounds beautiful. No. Okay, listen.
Right?
It's not the same thing.
No. Let's say I play a piece on the piano, because I can play the piano, and I record that, and then I listen to myself playing on the piano. I'm playing someone else's work rather than buying it.
True.
I don't know. I really think that when it's out of print, it's not a big deal. You're actually one of the few people I've ever met who actually thinks it is.
Well, I mean, it's, I don't know. I just don't. I guess because I have a little bit of a stronger stance because I used to buy movies when in Korea that had been illegally made. Because in Korea, it's not a big deal.
Morally, I found you...
Stop, don't take my words and throw them down. I'm getting there. Look, I used to do that. And at a certain point, while I was living in Korea, you said, you know what, this is not right. These people are criminals, and I should not be buying their stuff. So I stopped buying that.
Got it.
I stopped torrenting movies. I stopped doing all of that kind of stuff because there was a point in my life where I said, this is not right. I'm stealing from these people who have produced these different properties, whatever they might be.
And I've had the same, actually the same thing happened to me too, right? I was over there and I was like, oh yeah, I get the stuff, and I was like, wait a minute, this is not right.
It is not policed at all.
Right.
Not even close. They're out in the middle of the open air market selling these movies. They might police it now, but when we were there, not even close. And there was a huge push for within Korea, from the Korean government to get that all stamped out.
And again, you were adding to a problem, which was this guy who would copy this movie 100 times and then sell someone's property. You were contributing to the problem by buying it. I get that.
Correct.
But if you are making that same guy makes one copy and watches it at home and is not profiting from it, is that as wrong? I get that it's technically illegal, right? I mean, you're supposed to get it, but...
Again, it's not technically illegal. It is illegal.
I don't think that's true for board games, but you're right that it's illegal for a movie.
It's not the spirit, but it's the I guess the principle behind it. While there might not be a law in place for board games right now, it is actually still the same kind of moral issue.
All right, well, what we need to do is
board games.
We need to bring this to a final thing. You have any final thoughts on the subject?
I will say I don't support people not helping a company that put time and effort and money into a product. I don't condone that. And my argument definitely relies heavily on if something is unavailable, you would like to try it out, and you cannot give someone money for it, then I think it is okay for you to enjoy that thing. Make it, enjoy it. Don't sell it. Don't share it, but I think that's okay. And then if it ever is available again, then buy it. Reward them for what they've given you.
And you?
My final thought is simply going to be this. If it's not yours, don't produce it. Because even if you produce it intending to just play it a few times to get the feel for the game, and then go out and purchase it, you're opening the door, the temptation for you to say, you know what? I don't need to shell out another $50, $60. I have this and I'm happy with it, so I'm not going to go purchase that. I'm just going to keep what I have and I'm going to use it that way. And if you're just kind of opening up the door for you to go further down that. And I don't mean to enter into my own slippery slope argument where there's this endless chain of events that's going to happen. That's not what I'm saying. But the temptation is going to be there. And so there you have it. I think it's not right. Therefore, you should not engage into it, no matter what the circumstance might be.
And for me, I believe that we live in a society today where many people believe that they are owed things and that you deserve to have all these things for free, and that a lot of people do things like sharing music and movies and such, and don't have any kind of problem with that. But I really do think if we want to see the game industry grow, we need to support publishers and designers, even if it is indirectly by buying a used copy of a game or so. I believe that that's important. I lean a little bit more towards Zee in this situation there. But I do think we need to be careful in these regards. We would love to hear what you guys think. Let us know in the comments. Be nice to each other now, or we'll ban ya. BackTalk? But this is certainly a nuanced subject. Go ahead, have at it. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel.
Zee Garcia, thanks everybody.
Sam Healey. See you on the flip side.